question, does having experience in the trade help in the design process? I will be talking about the connection and disconnection inside the trade. Staying up to code, my project of renovating a garage into an apartment, and my conclusion. My essential question is, does having a working knowledge of design from a trade perspective help the architect in the overall design to deliver a great product? So these are the definitions of architecture and an architect. Architecture is the art or practice of designing and constructing buildings or the complex or carefully designed structure of something. And an architect is a person who designs buildings, in many cases also supervises their own construction. So there are two main paths to becoming an architect. You can either work your way through the trades, or you can go straight to college. Working your way through the trades, you will start as a laborer, work to become a carpenter, become a foreman, and then a project manager. Or you could go straight to college, do a 4 to 5 year bachelor degree. You have to do a internship under a licensed architect. You have to complete 7 ARE exams, and throughout each year you have to continue school to obtain a certain amount of credits to keep your license. So here are the different types of jobs inside the trade. There is a laborer. They usually prepare the site and pack up the site. They also haul building materials. They clean when rooms need to be cleaned. A carpenter is responsible for the framing of houses. Sometimes they will do other jobs such as finish work or drywall. Usually those will be subcontracted out to specialized carpenters. A foreman is responsible for creating a schedule, managing the site budget, and overseeing the job site. A project manager is in charge of overseeing site planning, ensuring that the project is completed on time, and ensuring that is completed in budget. They also manage other jobs. Unlike the foreman, they manage one job site. Project manager will manage multiple. And an architect is in charge of the design phase, project planning, and creating a visually appealing house or building. So if you go straight to college for architecture, you need a 4 to 5 year bachelor's degree. You will need to complete a minimum of 3-year internship under a licensed architect, and you need to take 7 architect registration exams to obtain that license. And throughout the years, you will need to go to college each year to get credits. So the design process from an architectural and contractor standpoint. The contractor side, it's not going to be the most, they're not going to have the most experience in designing. They usually focus on building. Unlike an architect, they go to college to specifically learn how to design buildings. They will know the basics, but they won't know everything. It could lead to budget problems down the line. They might have to fix certain things that they put in the design that won't work. The design process won't take as long as it would going under an architect, but it also may not look as good as something designed by an architect. So an architect goes to college to learn how to design projects. They often get an engineering, they go through engineering and design courses. They tend to stay within budget more than a contractor designing the house. It is a longer design process. There's multiple meetings you have to go through, but in the finished design is going to look like what you want it to. You can also go through a design build company, which is a company that does architecture and construction work. So that means there's no third party involved. The pros of that are it doesn't take any time to go between the architect or the contractor to throw ideas around. but the cons of it are there's nobody else watching the construction, there's not a third party there making sure that everything is going well, and that they're not skipping corners. You can also outright buy blueprints from certain stores. Unless you're really, really lucky, you're not gonna have all your visions in that pre-bought blueprint. But it is cheaper almost all the time to buy the blueprint than go through an architect or a contractor to design one. So, does having experience in the trade help you become a better architect? So you will learn the lingo of construction, and with that you will be able to better understand and communicate with the foreman and project managers on what's going on. You'll learn how to properly walk around a job site. They don't teach you that in college, so you're not going to be able to walk through and see what looks good, what needs to be fixed. If a wall is bent out and that needs to be fixed, you're not going to be able to see that unless you put a level on it. Having experience doing construction work, certain architects will often build the house with the contractor, so they will be able to bring their design to life. It will teach you what each position in the construction world is, so you won't just walk up to a laborer or a carpenter and expect them to know the duties or what the foreman or project manager is doing. Like I said before, you'll be able to notice the imperfections of a design if you have experience in the trade instead of going in with a blind eye. So there is a sizable connection and a sizable disconnection between architects and contractors. So often contractors and architects will feed each other jobs. If they like each other, a contractor gets hired to build a house, they will refer the architect and that will give them a job, or vice versa, the architect will refer contractors. A good connection will help the project move along faster. There's going to be less disagreement. It's going to be quicker meetings because they're going to know what each of their likes are. But the disconnection, there is often an overinflated ego. Architects have a big ego because they went to college for many years. They think they know everything, and they think that the carpenters don't know everything about the design, even if they have 10, 20 years of experience. Also, same way it goes for those contractors. They'll have all the experience in the world, and they think architects are just some college kids that are know-it-alls, and will often argue. That could lead to a slower process. More arguing means less work. And they often if they have a bad connection, they will often ignore and push aside each other. And there's a lack of vision if there's a disconnection. If an architect thinks one thing and contractor and him aren't getting along, he'll often go opposite of what his vision is and try to argue that it's not a good thing. So, staying up to date with current codes. These current codes are off the Vermont, I can't remember the name of them, but these are the Vermont Codes. A house must have 2 exits. Any bedroom must have a window. There must be a portable fire extinguisher that is serviced and inspected each year. And before you build anything, you must apply for construction permits. And how do you stay up to date with these codes? You have to take online or in-person classes every year that will run you through what the codes are, how they're changing. Codes will change every 5 years, but construction is often ahead of those codes. so they stay up to date when those codes are changed. You take these classes to build up your credits, and you renew your credits, or use your credits to renew your architecture license. So my project was renovating a garage into an apartment for my grandmother. The purpose of the project was to better understand certain parts of construction that I'm not getting from my class. I go to the Green Mountain Tech Center, and I'm in the construction technology program. But due to COVID, I'm not going to learn everything I could. I'm not going to learn how to properly install flooring, or how to do what we did. We did shiplap and tongue and groove. I'm not going to learn how to install that at school because we have limited days. This project only took a couple weeks to complete. We were on a tight time schedule, and we got it done as fast as we could. So these days or day 1 through 5, it was multiple days of doing the same exact thing. I know it doesn't look it, but this garage was filled brim with tools and junk that we had to haul out with our tractor. That took a couple hours to do, so solid couple hours of work. Then we had to rip down all the sheetrock on the ceiling. It had been damaged and it was starting to cave in and lit. I had to rip all the nails and screws that were in the ceiling, and I also had to rip out a wall that was molding on the bottom. So the second thing we worked on was the ceiling. As you can see, my dad's nailing it in and I'm cutting it. I had to learn how to properly cut tongue and groove and how to put it in. Never had to work with it before, so it was a learning experience. We spent 2 nights working on this, and we got the whole ceiling up. After that, we worked on the walls. We used shiplap for this. Lucky enough for us, it was just the right size to where for this wall we didn't have to cut any boards. We just put them in. A whole lot easier. This took 2 or 3 days to do. That went up pretty quick. This was my first time ever working with flooring. It was very simple to do and easy to learn. All you have to do is clip the boards in together and take a mallet and a block and hit them into place. That took a day and a half to do, maybe. Didn't take very long. And we did the finishing touches. We moved my grandmother in and got that all completed. This right here was the wall that I had to take out. On the bottom, it was all molded from this one annoying pipe that we had sticking out of the ground, that if you touched it in the slightest, the water would come spewing out of it. And my conclusion. So this was a fun project. I dedicated my senior year to construction, as I already said. And this research gave me the opportunity to look at different jobs in the construction field, like looking at a foreman, a project manager, an architect. And I also got to learn the educational aspects of becoming an architect and what that entails. If I were to become an architect, I would work my way through the trade to get an understanding of what goes on and all of the processes. Yeah, that's my presentation.
Very good. And now, do you want to open the floor for some questions?
Sure. Anybody have any questions?
In schools, we're
School.
still, yeah, even the teachers that are twice vaccinated are wearing masks.
You'll be fine.
We're
We
practiced at hearing people wear masks, so I'll tell you that.
We're trained.
Alright, so for my senior project, I built a picnic table, and for my slideshow, knew how much work does it really take. For my overview, I have my essential question, how to start a project, the key concepts of starting a project, getting the plan and what's next, your tools and materials, such as wood, different types of tools, hardwares, and different types for finishing up. Last part will be my project and the conclusion. For my essential questions, I did what is needed to build a picnic table and what are the right steps to follow. So first off is how to start a project. The key concept of starting a project is one, to pick out a design, and that could be anything from a TV stand to a bench or a picnic table such as what I built. The first thing you need to do is to make a list such as materials and things you might need to get through. The creating an action plan and setting time aside to work on the project kind of falls into one category. Sorry.
It's alright, dude.
This is why I have these. I'm not right.
Sounds good so far.
Yeah, you're
You
doing
wanna?
I know, I just don't have
Yes.
any practice with it.
Okay.
For the action plan, even doing a couple hours a day for work, once you get your materials and things, small increments of work throughout a certain amount of time can get the project done pretty briefly. So you have a plan, now what? It's good to talk to mentors and teachers, such as for my mentor was my construction teacher at GNTCC, Greg Stokes. He helped me throughout my project along with my dad, who helped me build. A good source of information is you could be found at public libraries. You go in and look for books, different articles, and you go online to the internet. Everybody has a phone. You go on, you can find everything you need right online. Tools and materials. Different types of wood. Your main two types of wood are hardwood and softwood. Hardwood is a more dense, compact wood that has a really good finish and can be slightly more expensive depending on what you buy. And it is more fire resistant than your softwoods. Some different types of hardwoods could be oak, maple, and cherry. Your softwoods are more of a less dense but more workable material, such as Douglas fir, which is your normal Christmas trees. Cedar and pine. Softwood grows slightly faster than hardwood, so it is more of a sustainable source for lumber and things. And it's cheaper than hardwood. Hardwood is prices of wood then and now. So prices of wood have more than doubled since Corona hit, which is a really big topic because everybody's been stuck at home and not having much to do. So people are going out and like, oh, should I redo my deck, my back porch? Should I build something? And a lot of wood is getting taken up. And manufacturers can't quite keep up with the production, so lumber prices are going up, and as we're running out of wood, more wood has to be imported in from, let's say, Mexico and things, and with the import charge, the wood is going to go up. Tools. Your baseline tools, such as your hand tools and power tools, and different tools for construction. Power tools can range from your sawzalls to your drills to different types of impacts. Passos, which are also nail guns. A lot of construction hand tools. There are wrenches, chisels, your tape measures, squares, chalk lines. Hammers are used daily. Tool brand and what is good to use. All of construction, we have mostly all Milwaukee tools, which are very durable. The battery life is great. We use them in our shop all the time for impacts, drills, everything. VOSHA is all about safety. And VOSHA first was introduced into the United States on April 28th of 1971 because there was a lot of accidents and things happening and people needed to step in to help safen the construction industry along with other industries. Hardware, screws and nails, which is better? So depending on what you're building, there are different types of screws and nails. I personally, for my project with the picnic table, screws are a better option because they sink in and they grab into the wood, which nails, they still hold together, but after a certain period of time, nails like to separate. Prices of hardware. Along with the lumber, prices of hardware have also gone up because, well, people have been buying them up. There's a lot of different type of coatings on screws and nails which help prevent rust, corrosion. Some certain types have like a sort of glue that holds them in. Different types of screw heads. Your most common in construction would be Phillips or a hex type head. Most commonly used, what we use in construction would be the T25 star bit, but we have multiple other ones that we do use. Finishing. Sanding. Sanding gives your project a clean look and it helps take off like different blemishes, can't think of the words. It really cleans up the project. Wood putty. Wood putty helps out a lot because when you sink your screw heads in and you're done sanding, there's going to be small holes and things left that you want to cover up. So as you can see right by the sander, I have a divot into my picnic table that we covered up. Wood putty really helps along the way. Staining. Different types of stain. You have like your oak, cherry, different types of wood stain that can add color, brighten up, or darken the tone of your project. Burning. For my picnic table, I don't have a photo of it currently, but we took a torch with a burning tip and we burnt the picnic table. So it gave it a really like dark finish. It looked really good. Resin and epoxy. Once you're done with these different steps, your resin and epoxy gives it a nice clear finish and it is protective. So if like anything happens to it, it can prevent sun fading in some points, but it really cleans it up. My project. For my step-by-step, my mother is the one that originally found the plan online for my picnic table, which we did some different corrections to it so it would better suit us. We made it a little bit bigger and taller. People who helped me would be my mentor, Greg Stokes, and my teachers. My dad is the one who really helped me out. He helped me plane all the wood and everything. We got all the wood for my picnic table from Authentic Log Homes in Hardwick, and I was told by you that the man running the saw was running it too fast, so a lot of the wood was like slightly different widths. So it took a lot of planing to get all that set down to where we needed it to, which was fun. It was an interesting experience. My final product. I currently only have one photo of this right now because I ended up buying a new car and the picnic table is currently using as a workbench. But this is a rough estimate of what it looks like. Right now it's all burnt up and it looks really good, but I unfortunately was not able to get more photos of it currently. My conclusion. There's a lot of work that goes into making a sturdy and good-looking picnic table. Building a picnic table can be both fun and educational. It can be a good project for a family to tackle over the spring and have ready just in time for summer. As long as the builders follow the right steps and make sure everything is precise, the picnic table will be perfect. And I have more excited. Questions?
Breathe.
Thank you. Yeah, round of applause for it.
Breathe.
For being nervous to start, you really took command of the floor, did well there. That was a wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I didn't know you didn't have pictures of it done.
I thought I did. I thought I did.
about lock and steel gun cabinets, wood gun cabinets, and then a lot of people like to mix up gun cabinets and gun safes. So I wanted to focus a little bit on that because that does get mixed up. And then the final thing is just the benefits of it all, how it keeps us safe, how it helps everyone around the firearm. And then I'm going to talk about my research project, which I chose to build an actual gun cabinet, and then my conclusion. So my essential question was, what are the different methods of storing firearms, and what are the pros and cons to each? And through my research, I definitely found a lot. A little bit of a sneak peek, the heavy-duty gun safe was definitely the far winner in terms of storing it, but that one is spendy. So the benefits of proper gun storage helps to keep people away from your firearms. So if you got it locked with, it can be anything from a fingerprint to a code lock to even a key. If someone doesn't have that, I mean, a key lock can be picked, a code lock can be guessed, so a fingerprint lock is really your best option. But it just keeps people out of your firearms in case someone breaks into your home, or even someone you're having over decides, hey, I kind of want this, and just takes your gun and then commits an accident or crime with it, and then you're responsible. So it keeps people away from them. It prevents children from getting to them, causing accidents. And that's actually a big one there is, I grew up with someone in Lowell who actually had that happen to them, where a younger child of theirs actually found a gun laying on the table and accidentally pulled the trigger. So this is a big one, and it's actually a lot more common than most think, of just little children not knowing what it is, just trying to play with something. It's laying on the table, or they find it when they're starting to walk, and then bad things happen. As I said earlier, it prevents thieves from breaking in and stealing them, which is very good because someone's breaking in and stealing your gun, probably not going to be used for the best of intentions, which will come back to you since everything is registered. And then it'll keep your firearm well maintained. I mean, if you keep it out in the open, exposed to elements, the barrel's going to rot. If you got a wood stock, that's going to start to chip away. Unless you like really oil them and take care of them, which a lot of people just kind of just put them away until the next season or until they use them next. So stuff starts to rust, stuff starts to not work, which then causes accidents, hunting, using it, misfire, blowing up, certain stuff like that. So just doing that will make sure it'll keep your firearm as safe for you as possible. So the first thing I chose to focus on was gun safes. They're definitely the most popular type of storage. Gun cabinets is a close second, but you see a lot of people, if you walk into the home of someone who's an avid hunter or likes guns or anything like that, they usually have a safe where they keep a certain amount. You can get safes that'll hold 10, you can get safes that'll hold 30. So usually if you're buying a lot of firearms, here's a very popular thing to see in the home. Many different types of safes. Like I said, you can keep some in your car, some in your truck, obviously with state laws, because some states allow you to and some states don't. But you can keep them tucked away, hidden in a wall, hidden behind a bookshelf, and then like I said, the heavy-duty gun safe. And then gun safes can be locked in a multitude of ways. The most popular one is becoming the fingerprint lock, just because no one else has your fingerprint. So unless someone cuts your finger off or something along that regard, they're probably not getting into that safe. Another one is the key. The key can be easily picked. However, it's not often. Usually a lot of people don't carry the skill to pick a lock. And then your combination safe, usually 3 to 4 numbers, a favorite number of yours. Someone knows you well enough, it can be guessed. So the best one on the market is definitely the fingerprint safe. It's the most secure. So I'm going to focus on 3, the heavy-duty gun safes, the car and truck gun safes, and in-wall gun safes. So I'm sure everyone recognizes one of those heavy-duty gun safes. They're very common. You walk into Tractor Supply, you see 10 of them right now. Those are the most popular form of storage. Those ones will store 10, 20, 30, sometimes even 40 guns, depending on how much you want to spend, how big it is. They are expensive. Probably your cheapest one, you're looking at about $500. So, I mean, if you have a lot, then it's a good purchase, but if you're buying a $500 gun, and a $500 safe to protect it. Some people don't see the reason in that because now you're into it for $1,000 for just one gun. And they are heavy. No one's walking away with it, that's for sure. They weigh anywhere from 300 to 400 pounds. It's just solid steel meant for nothing to penetrate it. They offer the best defenses from anything. Fire protection. If your home catches on fire, nothing's going to get inside that. Water protection. If there's a flood, nothing's getting inside that. And then theft proof. I mean, you can see tests where people try to shoot those cabinets and it won't penetrate. It's just solid. It's like 4 inches of steel all the way around that's not penetratable. And then as I said, these ones can be locked from fingerprints or a standard combination, which again, like I said, the fingerprints are the most common form of use just because it's the most secure. So current truck gun safes, these are not terribly popular just because some states allow it, some states don't. They are cheaper than a heavy duty gun safe to buy. Most of these do have to be specially installed into a car, and the labor on that can cost you quite a bit. Car safes are meant to hold a single handgun. They tuck into your glove box. They replace the glove box. They replace the center console. They replace the area with the cup holders. It just sits right here, and it's meant to lock it up, but also offer you a form of protection in your vehicle if you feel that you need it. Truck gun safes are made to hold a couple long rifles or anything bigger. They usually slide under the back seat, or if you have a single cab truck behind there, sometimes they'll even put them in the bed of the truck, and usually these are designed that they are in the bed of the truck. They're designed well enough to keep stuff out of them. However, using the truck gun safe, if you have a couple rifles in there and you're hitting bumps constantly on the dirt road, they will be clanging against each other, causing damage to the rifle. So while these aren't the best option, they are better than leaving your gun unprotected in the vehicle. If someone breaks in and grabs the gun, again, a lot of people don't carry guns in their vehicles just because sometimes it's allowed, sometimes it's not, depending on the state. I know we do allow it as long as it's not loaded. So they're not terribly common, but it's definitely better for the people that put guns in their vehicle to leave them protected and unprotected. And the final thing in this category is the in-wall gun safes. These are very hard to break into or take because they're literally built into the wall, as you can see in the picture there. They're a nice design, so it's just like a painting on the wall or a picture. It doesn't take up a lot of space, and it kind of blends. You try to match it so it blends into the wall. You can get them in many different sizes. That one probably used to hold a handgun, something like that. You can get bigger ones where that's meant to hold a couple long rifles. Nothing as big as the heavy-duty gun safe, but it is designed to hold a couple of them. These are still fairly expensive, not as bad as the heavy-duty gun safe, but they're probably ranging between $200 to $300 for the long one. Probably looking at like $150 to $200 for one of the smaller ones like that. And then again, that's just buying it. The labor to put it into the wall, because it does have to be built in, can get spendy on that. So these aren't terribly common, but they do offer a nice design if you want a good spot to hold your guns. So the next thing is affordable storage options. A lot of people can't afford the safes and the cabinets and all that, so they look at different ways to try to make sure that the firearm can't be used when their eyes aren't on it. One of these is trigger and cable locks, which actually, if you go buy a Glock right now, you get the case and it does come with a cable lock, and all that does is just disables the action. Trigger locks are less common to come with, but they do. If you buy a pricey enough handgun, they will come with it. And those just go around the trigger, and it's usually a combination lock or a key. And then there's security cases, which are just, you'll see in movies, the boxes that people keep at the foot of the bed with a single lock on them. These are fairly cheap. You're probably looking at like $50 to $100, depending on if you want steel or wood and how big you want it to be. And it kind of keeps your gun hidden from open view because it is tucked into a box. So the trigger and cable locks, that is an example of the cable locks. Like I said, they come with most purchases, and even if they don't, you're probably looking at $5 on Amazon to get one of those. It's not very expensive at all. So it just slides into the action of the rifle, causing it to not be cocked back, not to have a bullet loaded into it, not to be used. A trigger lock actually, it does hide the trigger, so if you see, most are shaped in a half moon shape of firearms, and what it does is it just goes over that and it clicks in and it locks, and then a combination or key. And then these should be used in combination with something else. A lot of people do use them together, but they're cheap, they are affordable, but these also don't exactly hide the gun. So these can be used and your gun can still be left on the countertop in plain view. While it can't be used, those can be cut off or with some expensive tools, but so it's just best to use them in combination with something else. Which brings me to the next point, security cases. These are a good combination with them because they're not expensive and they keep them tucked away, and then while your gun is in there, it's obviously disabled so no one can use it. These can be locked with all three of the locks I was talking about, keys, codes, even fingerprints. And fingerprints are very common, thumbprints, anything like that, and it just keeps it out of plain view. They come in different sizes to store rifles and handguns and a certain amount. So you can buy one like that, which is meant to hold a single handgun, and then you can buy a bigger one that's meant to hold a couple rifles, and they just keep it out of view. These are very affordable, however they're easy to work, which means they're very easy to break into. So they're not the best option, but in a pinch, if you need something you can't really spend a whole lot of money, it's better than nothing. And then gun cabinets. These are very popular. The steel gun cabinets are commonly mistaken with heavy-duty gun safes. Steel cabinets are something you'll see in a police show, their armory, what they're grabbing their guns out of. So those ones are commonly mistaken with the heavy-duty gun safes. And then these can get pricey. They are cheaper than a safe because of the material you're building out of. So steel is pricier than wood. And then, so the main reason of a gun cabinet is for show. So when a lot of people think of gun cabinets, you think of the wood ones, the glass doors and the engravings and all that. So it's just meant as a display case for your guns. A lot of them do have key locks, but some people just keep them open. They're just meant as a display. And yeah. So this is the lock and steel gun cabinet. As you can see, it looks like something police would grab out of their armory that they keep it in. These are made of a thin gauge sheet metal, so they're very flexible. Or with an axe or something, they can be easily penetrated. They are able to show off your guns. You can see the windows, and then they offer a cool kind of guarded look. They are cheaper than a safe, not as protective just because of the material that's being made out of. These ones will not come with a fingerprint lock. They'll probably most likely be a key, rarely a combination. It is a better way to store it, however, than the security cases, just because it is still made of metal. However, it is a thin gauge, so it's easily penetrable. Yeah, these are the ones that are commonly confused with the heavy-duty gun safe, just because they do look somewhat alike. However, they do vary quite a bit in price. You're looking at about $200 for that setup versus $500 for the big safe. And then that's the wooden gun cabinet, like I said, meant to display. You can see the picture I chose is you get the etchings of the deer in the window. That's usually what the purpose is. You got the lighting inside there. It's meant to light up your guns, display them, showcasing the people who come into your home. They're very common to own just because of the fact that, like, on a personal level, it's kind of cool because I can say I built mine. So it's just like I have the work into that. I can store stuff in it. I built that. I didn't buy it. They can range in price depending on what people use, but 99% of the time they are a lot cheaper than safes. And they are usually locked with just a key. Not a whole lot more can be built into it. I guess some people don't put a key in, so you can't tie a chain around it. I've seen done, and put a little cable lock on the end there. But more commonly, it's just two handles and it's constantly open. So it's not the best form of protection by any means, but when people buy these, it's just meant to display what they have to other people walking to their home. And the difference between gun safes and gun cabinets, these two are commonly mistaken. So like I said, the steel gun cabinet is made out of a thin sheet material, very bendable. These are lighter. They don't offer a whole lot of protection from fire and water. It probably wouldn't, because of the holes in it, it would burn the stuff inside, and water can definitely get in. Heavy duty gun safes are made of solid steel, so it's just taking thin steel and bending it versus trying to take like a 4-foot piece of pipe and trying to bend that. You're not going to do it. So they're made of a solid steel. They're very heavy, and they're just a lot harder to penetrate if you even can. They are fire and waterproof, and are usually locked with a combination of a fingerprint. These two can look similar, especially if you get the cheaper built heavy-duty gun safe. They can look similar. However, they are very different, especially in price. You'll notice one's $200, one's $400. Even if they look similar, one's offering more protection. The other one's not. It's the cheaper way to go. They're, like I said, gun safes are a lot more expensive than a cabinet, and there are many other differences than just these. These are just the major ones, but if you, on the research project that I did, it's just you could see the differences between the gun safe and the gun cabinet, and it's just between the protection the gun safe has, it just makes more sense to spend your money on that than to spend your money on the steel cabinet if you're an avid firearm owner. And then the benefits of safe firearm storage. Children can stay away from firearms. They're locked away safely. I forgot to put the facts from my research paper into this, but 15,000 kids a year underage, that's under the age of 18, are killed because of improper use of, or improper storage of firearms. And then 1/3 of the suicides in the nation can be prevented if the firearms are locked away. A lot of firearms in the U.S. are not locked up. In fact, that's about 55% of firearms in the nation are not locked up, are not kept away, are kept in plain sight, easy to get to, which causes a lot of the stuff that's going on right now. It's just with easy access, it causes that stuff to happen. So, and then how storing a firearm can benefit the owner. Like I said earlier, if your guns are locked away properly, no one can steal them, no one can use them in a way that will come back to you, resulting in something bad happening to you. Guns are not cheap either, so making sure they stay in your home is important, because you don't want $600 walking out the door that you just spent a week ago and then you never see that again. It's a lot of money that you can't get back. And I've stated previously, if you have kids, it is definitely a benefit to keep your gun locked up properly, just so that they don't think it's a toy, and then something bad happens. And then, as I said earlier, this isn't a bullet point on there, but it keeps them maintained, where it's just the rust and everything that can cause a firearm to misfire or do anything like that that could cause harm to you. The stock starts cracking and you fire it, the recoil could break and shoot back through your shoulder. I've seen that done. So if you keep them maintained and keep them stored well, then they'll last a lot. If you don't, they're probably not going to last very long. So for my research project, as I said, I decided to build a gun cabinet. My mentor, Tony Jones, had a lot of cherry, so we decided to use that for the face frame, which it came out very well. I used 3/4 inch plywoods for the sides and the shelves to give it that structural, and then obviously the back isn't too important, so I just use 1/4 inch for the back of it. I used cherry stain for the plywood to match the front, just that way it would all look good. And then I used red felt, I'm going to, on the gun racks and the floor. I did not stain the insides of it to keep it bright, kind of popping, because right now the plywood, it's a lighter color, so it adds a natural pop to it. And with the red felt, it's gonna really pop with the light and all that. And then, so I had 2 solid cherry doors on the face frame for my top shelf, 2 glass doors for the sections where the guns are going to go. As I said earlier, it's the same thing as to display. And then I had a drawer for the bottom section. I was going to do 2 doors, but it's easier to pull the drawer out to see everything you have there than to reach down in the bottom section and go look for it. And then that's it right there. So that was the built frame, and you can see the face frame starting to go on it there. That was, the doors were on the bench getting sanded down. I think I probably had like 15 hours of this project just in the sanding. That was a good month. That's with the doors on, and then right there is the drawer, both of those pictures, and you can see in that far picture, the gun racks actually lined up. So my conclusion, there are many different types of gun storage, as I just stated. The one that offers the most protection is the heavy duty safe. If you only have one gun in the home, for protection and whatnot, it's probably not going to be your option, but if you purchase guns a lot, it's the way to go. I mean, no one's going to break into it unless they have a key lock or they know your passcode. If it's a fingerprint, no one's breaking into it, no one can penetrate it. It can't be moved easily. It's going to take a team of 4 to 5 people just because of how much they weigh. So, in my opinion on this, and just with all the facts that led me to it, they're very pricey, but if you have more than 3 or 4 guns, they're just well worth the money. In fact, the keeping them maintained, and even the inside is lined with felt or cloth just to keep them comfortable, and they're kept at a nice temperature just to keep them rust away, keep the stocks good. If you want to display your guns in something that looks nice, the best thing would be the wood gun cabinet. It's not going to secure it. I mean, even if you did have a key lock on there that someone didn't want to pick, it's probably got glass. Glass can be broken. Wood can be broken. So if you want to display it, then that's what you should go with, but it's not going to get you any type of security if you want to put them away and make sure they stay away. And then whichever type of storage you choose, the main point is just safety, is my main thing, is just keeping it away from anyone except for you, or anyone that doesn't know how to use it, is really the main point on that, because then accidents happen, things happen you don't want to happen. Guns can go in a lot of different ways, so really locking them up and keeping them secure is the best way to prevent this. And that's it.